Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm Elias Sailor Eli Warren, and this is my friend Hans Gruber.
Nice. And hello, I'm Maddie, as y'all know.
And today we will be finishing our playthrough of Legend of Dragoon and talking about any outstanding things we want to talk about, like our favorite bits, overall love, our smutty fan fictions about Dart and Lavitz.
And for those of y'all who are listening to this later and don't understand the context, we're live!
We're live!
Live and better than ever. We're on Twitch this time around, and Sam made a gorgeous Twitch framey thing for us where I get to live out my dream of being a Dragon Quest character.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But before we jump into Legend of Dragoon things, how was everybody's week?
Mine was pretty good. So I hit 10 years at Blizzard back in January.
Wonderful.
And, I actually just got my shield this Sunday, so it was
Nice.
It was less than a month late. I was pleasantly surprised.
Yeah.
And I posted a pic in Discord, so if you want to go check that out.
I see.
Yeah, so I got that.
Oh, I already saw the
and
picture.
What's up?
Oh, sorry. I was looking at the picture, and I was like, wait, I'm on Facebook. I've seen the picture.
That is true. Not much else has happened. I got into a new... I don't know how new it is, but I got into a very intense psychological horror anime called Happy Sugar Life.
Nice.
So that's interesting and neat. But other than that...
Happy Sugar Light? I think I've seen that episode of Steven Universe.
Yeah. So, yeah, not much else going on for me.
Yeah. I've been starting on my 100% for Kingdom Hearts 3, and it's going. I got most of the gummy ship stuff, but the final secret hidden boss of the gummy ship is incredibly hard. Like, he hits I loaded up where I had 1,000 HP and a thing that reduces your damage like crazy, and he still killed me in one hit with one of his attacks.
Wow.
And it sucks. And I'm
That's
really bad at
unfortunate.
shmups, and typically this is one of those shmups that has really slow projectiles, so you just twirl your thumbstick in a circle and you win. But that's not working on this one, so I'm actually having to get good, and I'm not good. So
Sam,
I suck.
on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being the gummy ship for Kingdom Hearts 1, and 2 being the gummy ship for Kingdom Hearts 2, how good is the gummy ship from this game?
So
How bad, rather?
So I think it has dull parts, but it's so different from the other two, because the other
really?
two are on rails shooters. This one is a No Man's Sky gummy ship.
Oh,
and so
I didn't
it's
realize. That's
yeah,
interesting.
so it's completely different. If you don't like flying through space with nothing really to do exploratory bits, you're probably not going to like it. I love that shit, so I really love it. But it's one of the parts that people don't like about Kingdom Hearts 3 in reviews and stuff.
Well, some
But I
people
loved it.
are dumb enough to actually think the gummy ship is good in Kingdom Hearts 1. So if people aren't liking it in 3, it must be bad.
But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. But yeah,
I love flying a spaceship.
That was always my least favorite part of playing Kingdom Hearts, was playing that gummy ship, and I just I've blocked most of it from my memory. I just remember it being tedious as hell.
Yeah, one thing they did, which is cool, is if all you're doing is flying from your most recent location to your destination, it kind of feels like a level from one of the old ones. There's a definite path set out with collectibles and stuff that takes you straight to the other side. But then you're not on rails, so you can just be nah, F this, and just go off and explore things, which I really like.
Oh, yeah.
The next one, they should switch it up and have planet scanning from Mass Effect 2. You don't actually go... That way, all the Disney worlds that aren't actually in the game, it's you just scanned... I don't know, you just scanned, Tangled World, and you harvested some resources from it. It's cool.
Yeah, the worst part is I 100% but all 3 Mass Effects too. So you can't take my opinion as worth anything for mini games being fun. You're oh, you're in space. Sam loved it. It's fine.
I I don't know. I don't think that's really that bad of an opinion. Mass Effect 2's minigame, people said it was boring, but it was soothing. It was
soothing.
Calming. I would do it when I got home from school.
Yeah.
Because I'm stressed out. I'm going to chill out and just read about some planets for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
It's really fun.
Yeah. But, yeah. Anybody have anything else before we dive into the meat of our episode?
I don't know. My life continues to be just bizarre and stupid. I did start a new podcast on Monday.
Ooh.
I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, because the first episode isn't out yet, but it's real dumb.
Yeah, loving the real dumb.
And of course, I shout out this podcast on that podcast, doing my due diligence as a caster. Yeah. Let's see. Anything else? What the hell did I even do on Sunday? Nah, I just been thoughting, trotting, and plotting like usual.
Nice.
That's it.
All right. So
and I started playing Final Fantasy X.
Yeah. I was tempted to play it early. I was going to a little yesterday, but I played Kingdom Hearts instead because
I didn't actually cheat. I didn't save my game.
Okay.
I was just like dicking around with it, and I played for like an hour, and I got like 3 areas in. But every time I saw a save point, I would tap on the save point to heal my party, and then not actually save. And I'm just like, I'll just keep doing this until I feel like going to bed.
Nice. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive in and talk about this final thing.
Yay.
Which I didn't go in and actually change this, so I am a very smart boy.
While you're changing that, I'll go ahead and say one thing. I forgot to do due diligence. I was playing the final boss, and I couldn't find my headphones, which is a big problem, because the game's music is great, and I'm playing on Vita.
Oh, I was actually going to bring it up. Melbu Frama's song is the worst fucking song in the whole goddamn game.
Wait,
it's
really?
Not good.
I think it's good.
Bad. No, it's bad.
It's terrible.
I thought it was good, except I wished I had my headphones, because then I could have more fully appreciated it.
Maybe it's a bassy bad.
Maybe the bass line's really bad, so I couldn't hear the bass line.
It's just the Jaga-jajan.
No, I will say, I think it would be a perfect second to final boss battle. It certainly does not quite have the oomph of a final boss battle theme, but I don't know. I that's so funny that y'all think that, because usually I'm the one who's a little more critical of this game's music. I thought it whipped.
No, I skip it when I'm listening to the OST. Yeah. I can't.
And the thing I was going to be apologizing for is that I meant to go back later after I found my headphones and listen to it on YouTube, but I never did. So I guess I'll just live in ignorance.
Live in ignorance where you think the Melbu Frama theme is good.
Ignorance is bliss in this case.
But
that's a damn shame.
Yeah, so when we last left off, Zieg was slumped dead, and Melbu Frama's ghost came out of him and joined with the moon that never sets to stop Steel being the god of destruction from Shana. And then we all said we were happy to be fighting with everyone, and we saved. So now we run up and tell him that we don't afraid of anything, and we start the fight.
He was like, in this plot, I am the god. It's me.
That's exactly how Sailor Eli did it, and then Sailor Eli realized about 3 minutes into it, I am not prepared for this, but I'm gonna just do my best and see how it goes. And trust me, it didn't work out the way I had hoped.
Yeah, it's a long-ass battle. I probably would have beaten the battle on my first try if I had simply just gone back to the town, stocked up on items, and gone back. I probably would have beaten it. That's not what I did, though, because for some reason, I just really wanted to get Rose's final whatever edition. I wanted to get it all the way up because it's the highest edition percentage in the whole game.
Dragon Dance is fucking
And I was
awesome.
already, like, 20 away. I was already at, like, 62, so I was like, I'm gonna get it to 80, right? So I ran around in circles and did that for a while and got like a level for everybody and got some more additions. Probably not necessary, but I was like, Rose is awesome. She deserves to have full additions,
right? Especially because she gets the Dragon Buster. Like it's poetic that she would be maxed out.
Yeah. And then after that point, I did just buy items and go kick his ass.
But yeah, so, of course, since this is a JRPG, it has multiple forms, and Form 1 is just Melbu Frama in, like, a tentacle chair or something. Did anything really stick out for part 1 for you guys?
No, I just destroyed the tentacles as quickly as I could so they'd stop smacking me.
Yeah.
Then,
so here's the thing. You don't know how the battle's going to go, right? I don't know how many phases there are. I'm not using a guide. I know there's multiple phases, but I don't know how many, and I don't know which one's going to be the hardest, so I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I'll just go all out. So I used my Power Stone X, Psych Bomb X. I used basically all my one-shot shit. I just blew it all in the first form. And I knew that was probably a bad idea, but it's like, I don't know how to strategize, so I might as well just do it, right?
As far as I can tell, he has a singular HP pool, because when he changes forms, you don't bring him down to the red. He stays in the blue until the last couple forms. So I think it's fine to blow it on the first one. It just makes him go to a second one faster.
Well, the only problem is just like, oh, what if he shows up with like 5, backup mobs later? Yeah. And also his later forms, he does use like more dangerous attacks, right?
Yeah.
Point is, I Psych Bomb Dexed him. I hit the shit out of him. I just blew all my everything I had right away, and it was not difficult.
Yeah, not really at all. Part 2 is the weirdest, like JRPGs are weird, so I can't say that this is the weirdest form for a final boss to take in a JRPG, but it is pretty close. Like, how I described it in my notes is, it's like when you just have a small pile of Legos and you just kind of put stuff together to just try to make it work. That's kind of what this is, with weird pieces of everything.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Yeah.
It's not even like the PlayStation 1's fault, because even its concept art is super duper gross. And
no, they wanted something like that.
It's bad.
They were like, cool.
You're like flying through this background that looks like the old Windows screensaver with the stars coming at you.
It's like you're fighting against the final boss of Digimon Season 1. That's for you, Sam.
Sorry, I don't get that reference. I'm sure it's relevant. What I was also going to say is, I found out that if you use your special and then he changes forms, it removes your ability to do the dragon attack automatically.
Oh, really? So it's like it forgot that you did that.
I mean, basically, like the background changes. Like you don't get your special background anymore from going into everyone into Dragoon form. It's bullshit. It's a bunch of goddamn bullshit. However, I did learn how to press the button 3 times.
Yay.
So, yeah, good for me. I'm finally learning how to play Legend of Dragoon.
I mean, it's hard to get.
It's so hard.
I actually finally had it by the end, and for me, because I know that putting everyone into Dragoon form at the same time is often very dangerous, and I don't know what attacks this boss is going to have, I never did that. I would always just do, like, I would very intentionally never have all 3 of them at once, right? Because it's like, what if he uses a crazy attack and I need to heal right away, right? But because of that, I was hitting them pretty good. Like, I don't know, maybe batting 70 or something like that. Which, of course, it took me 60 hours to get to this point, but I'm finally here, which is nice.
I didn't try enough, and
what were y'all's parties?
Mine was. Sorry,
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, you, damn it!
SpongeBob.
I had Dart, Rose, and Albert.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, me too. And that's funny because I know that's like the party, that's like Sam's party for the whole game, right? Yeah. But for me, I've been the weirdo who's been doing weird shit the whole time. Like, I've been using Miranda a bunch, I've been using Meru, but like, I don't know, but by the end of the game, everyone was the same level. Actually, that's not true. Rose and Albert, actually, that's not true. I actually was following my personal conviction the entire time. I always have whoever's the lowest level, because I want everyone to be the same level. So actually, Rose and Albert were both the lowest level.
Because they were the highest level back in Disc 1, and it's taken this long to get them wrapped back around to lowest level.
I think Albert and maybe Haschel and Kongo were all tied. So I was like, okay, fuck it. I want a breath thing.
Yeah.
Rose Storm.
I want Rose Storm, obviously.
Yeah.
But then I realized, oh god, I'm using the same party as everybody else, probably.
Like, I tried so hard to make this my Meru and Haschel playthrough, and I switched over for a boss fight, and then I couldn't go back, because it's just canon for me. Like, this is a game where you have 7 best friends, 3 of whom are warriors, 4 of whom are comic relief.
Yeah. My Haschel was like 2 or 3 levels higher than Rose and Albert, and he was doing a phenomenal damage, actually. I bet if he'd been in my party, it would have been tight.
Yeah. So then part 3 has the big fuck you Sephiroth attack. That's just the ridiculous one. And I can't even go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say we should also note the boss phases are basically going through the creation of endiness.
Yeah,
or whatever.
I was about to go into that.
Sorry.
The reveal when I noticed it was on our way to part 4, because part 3 he's kind of like a spaceship railgun thing because you have to have one as your final boss. And the best thing about it is it has the big fuck you Sephiroth attack where it's just like ridiculously long animation, everything explodes, and then it does 0 damage because I have legend casks on.
Yep.
But then on the way to part 4. Because like each one has been like first generation, second generation, third generation, but then part 4 is like 6th generation because it cuts through 4, 5, and 6, and you see that it's like the evolution of people and like cave paintings and stuff like that, and it then clicked to me that like, oh, when we fought him in the big swirling void in part 1 was literally void, and then it was the gases swirling to form stars, and then the dirt forming the planets, and now it's plants, and now people, and now everything, and it's like really kind of cool. And I trying to think like what it means besides just being cool. I'm not really certain.
My interpretation, damn it, computer, don't go into sleep mode. My interpretation was because Soa is the creator of life, and the grand plan of Soa is the destruction of the planet, that the plan was the planet's going haywire, I don't like it, let's just start it all over again.
Yeah.
And so it's like trying to rebuild itself, basically.
Yeah. I could see like the Moonchild, and this goes into that the stupid it was all in a computer the whole time thing from last week. But like the Moonchild has like in its DNA or whatever is how to rebuild the world from scratch. And so maybe like that's what we're seeing. Like now that he's with the Moonchild, like this is the blueprints for Endiness.
Yes,
that could be it. I've actually played a few games that do similar things. So first of all, I picked up on it right away because I've played like 3 other games that do this, and 2, I'm a Bible dork, so I'm like, oh right, he's creating the world right in 7 days or whatever. So the games that do it. So first of all, Terranigma, which needs to be on our list, frankly.
I think it is on our
list. It's a goddamn genius game. It has a lot to do with the creation of the world, and also weirdly enough, the game Radiant Silvergun.
Nice.
Which is a treasure shmup. The final boss in that game is amazing. You're fighting this. It's actually not the creation of the world, but you warp back in time to the beginning of the universe, and you're fighting a god thing, and you're in this blank white void, and the boss is a giant. It's a giant like 3-dimensional, like 3D model, like humanoid. It's just like a platonic ideal human figure.
Wild.
And he's running through this void, and he's way bigger than the screen, and it's because the game plays on a 2D plane but has 3D graphics, so it's like, it's like it flies around. Like at one point you're shooting at his head, at one point you're shooting at his arms, and you're fighting against this like god at the start of existence. It's really amazing. So that's what I got out of this. I got out of it like, I like how they don't explain anything. I love that.
Yeah.
It's just this game does not really pull a Final Fantasy VIII where it dips into the purely impressionistic at any point in time except for now.
Yeah.
Basically. So it's just like, I'm thinking, you're in the moon. The moon's always showing you visions. It's just like, yeah, like I'm thinking that Soa is not Soa, but it's like I don't think it's happening on purpose. I think Soa is like remembering that this is what he does. Like, just you're in this thing that recreates history. So because you're fighting the creator of all history, you're fighting him throughout history. I guess.
Well, but you're not. You're fighting Melbuframa fused with the thing that's supposed to destroy the planet.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But I guess you're still just in this place of magical power. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any way to explain it. But I don't think it's a vision. Actually, for the record, I don't think it's a vision. I think it's like you actually are back in time at the beginning of creation, and then you actually are like at this point, at this point, at this point. That's how I see it, at least.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
It's cool as hell.
It's cool shit.
Yeah,
Okay.
it is really cool.
One criticism. When it first started to switch phases, I flipped my shit. Because what happens is the music just cuts off. Like, you're playing, and the music's like, bah, 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 you know, y'all don't like it or whatever. And then all of a sudden, you're fighting, and the music just stops. And you're like, what? And because this game's weird and sometimes, like, takes 2 seconds to load shit for no reason, the music just stops and nothing else is happening. And then the screen goes dark. And I'm like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, what is happening, what is happening? And then it goes through this scene saying, you know, fate
The
or
first
what generation, first generation. And you get this cutscene, and this new music comes in, and this new music is banging. It's pumping. And I totally thought that when that cutscene was over and it went back to the battle, that would be the new boss battle music. But then it fades, and then it goes, bah, 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 and I was like, damn it.
See, I wanted it to be different music for every phase as well because of that. Like, I had the same thought was, ooh, neat, the music's going to change along with the graphics. Oh, no, it's...
Well, also, that would have been a phenomenal flex, like, directorially. It would have been so cool. Like, I was so on board with what's happening. And that wasn't what was happening, and I was like, oh.
I was tempted to just be like, all right, I'm going to I'm gonna find Battle Hymn for Everyone's Souls on YouTube, and I'll just play that and take myself back to Persona 3.
Sam, do you remember how Final Fantasy VIII's final boss battle theme, first of all, owns? Second of all, it's got like a 2-minute fucking intro section before like the beat drops and it actually starts.
I finished it in high school.
It's
so
got like a... You mean you don't listen to the Final Fantasy VIII soundtrack on the reg?
No.
Well, I do, I'm
a fake gamer girl.
I do, and that's what I've been doing for the last week, and I finished it again yesterday. The final boss battle has like we're talking legitimately 2-minute long, like slow, like dramatic, organ-y, dubstep-ass intro before the actual boss battle song starts. And that's what this reminded me of, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, it's a shame. Oh well.
Yeah. So, then we get to, what I called in my notes, a realm of blood, bone, and despair to fight part 4, which looks like the head of Mother from Rogue Galaxy.
It's the Bone Zone. It's the final battle of Super Mario RPG.
Yeah, and so this one was kind of cool because it had all of its like super hard, thingy jiggers, like moves and stuff, and this is where all its desperation attacks were, including the Dragon Block Staff. Did you guys get hit by the Dragon Block Staff?
So you weren't... Oh, go on.
Oh, no, it's okay. That actually didn't give me a problem, because at that point, on both of my attempts, what I was doing was just getting enough SP to go into a level 1 Dragoon form.
Okay. Going
into Dragoon form, using an ability like Rose Storm, and then coming immediately out of it.
Okay.
I think I was still in special, so I still had everybody in their Dragoon forms once the phase started, but it didn't really become an issue until Dart was the only one who was still a Dragoon. And so I just smacked him real lightly, basically. Yeah. The thing that I had a problem with in my first attempt was he has an insta-kill.
Yeah.
And I have Rose's hairband, but I had replaced it with a magical hat because I wanted the extra magic attack. And then I didn't have a talisman on anyone, and I hadn't read ahead. Like, I'm using a guide, but I only skimmed it for this fight, and didn't see that he's got an insta-kill, so everybody died real badly. And, like, I had made it to the last phase in my first attempt, against all odds. But that insta-kill did me in. And of course, when I went through again, the second time, the insta-kill went after the one person who wasn't wearing a can't-be insta-killed item.
Dang.
So,
wait.
I was a little miffed.
So wait, does that insta-kill, is it insta-kill all?
No, it's just one.
Oh, okay.
It's those monster things that he summons.
Oh yeah, they like charge up for a few turns?
Yeah, one of them will try to instant kill one of your party members, and the other will replace one of your party members.
Oh yeah, I
several
have both of
turns.
those moves. Although the replace is funny because like it's not actually like bad.
It's
'cause
good. I wanted
rules.
that to happen.
I thought it was hilarious. I never actually attacked. I just healed every time because it was heal,
Yeah, me
right?
too.
I guess the attack.
Yeah.
What does it do? Does it just hit the bad guy for damage?
And it hits him pretty hard too.
A little
It's so weird.
dance like that cracked me up.
Yeah.
Are they like "fuck you, dad" or I don't know? Like are they in the Team Rebellion phase?
Something
Yeah.
like that.
I really liked a lot of the weird gimmicks in this battle. Like like you said, the he puts out 4 dudes and then. Or he puts out 2 dudes and one of them possesses you, one of them kills you. Another one of the phases, I forget which one, he puts out 4 thingies, and after X
there's
amount
orbs.
of turns, one of the orbs will do a pretty nasty all attack. And I knew that, right? But when it first appeared, I didn't have anything I didn't have any all attacks. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I could waste multiple characters' turns all ganging up on one of these just to kill one of them, or I could just ignore it and hit Nobuframa, right? So what I decided to do was I had Dart attack as much as possible, because as soon as I got him up to level 1, I could use his summon,
Yeah.
which turned out, annoyingly though, didn't kill them. It brought them all down to red, but didn't kill them.
Yeah.
So next time he used it, I used the summon, and then also finished them off with my other party members. I was prepared.
Nice. But yeah, so anything else about the fight before we kill this motherfucker?
No.
No,
Fucking
no, it
Melbatos
was-
du fromage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was. It's a pretty good fight. It's just kind of long, and you do a lot of the same things.
Yeah,
And
it
the
was a
music's
fun.
bad.
It was a fun fight. I thought the music was good for some reason. If you oh right, I forgot about mention the Dragon Block staff. So I ignored Sam's advice because I forgot that he said it. Because Sam, it's not on
Oh,
purpose.
whoops.
Anytime you're saying something about the game, I kind of tune it out, kind of low key on purpose, because I like to not have advice. But then if I end up getting wrecked, or if I want to, I'll go back and read your advice, right?
Yeah.
So I totally had forgotten about the Dragon Block staff thing. So luckily, I went into that phase with only one character in, like, deep into Dragon mode, like still level 4 or something. Maybe it was Albert, I don't know. But since it was just one, because I'd been sort of playing that whole, like, make sure all my characters aren't in Dragon mode at once, not because of the block staff, just because that's good strategy in general. I don't think he ended up even dying. Of course, it was a waste of 4 turns because all of his attacks did bullshit damage. But
Yeah.
I think he didn't even. If he did die, of course, I would have just revived him. So
Yeah.
it was no big deal. But I was like, oh yeah, that's that thing Sam was trying to warn me about. Oops.
But yeah, he didn't do it for me. Like I think Albert was in a level 4 Dragoon straight, and he didn't even use the block staff against me, so I lucked out. But yeah, so you finish the fight, and Dart gets a free transformation into the Divine Dragon, or Divine Dragoon, I guess, and he
Divine Dragon Dragoon.
he blows the shit out of Melbuframa with
it rules.
his cannon, and it's dope. So then we get the final FMV, which unfortunately is the one FMV in the game that's like as it happens and not just a monologue. So the voice acting you get to see, and it's because like there's only so many ways you can fuck up a monologue. There's a lot of ways you can fuck up a conversation, and they did all of them in this last FMV.
I will say, another way that I ignored your advice, you said to like watch it later with subtitles or something like that. I didn't. I also didn't even have headphones. Luckily, though, I think I heard. I was able to make out every single line of dialogue except for like one towards the end,
nice.
and I think it wasn't important, whatever it was. So like,
It was
yeah.
it was some of the worst voice acting I think I've heard in a video game.
Oh, I just meant the audio mixing.
I feel very bad saying that because I know that they work really hard, but my God.
No, it was bad.
As someone who is an aspiring voice actor, it was very, very painful.
Yeah. My favorite is Shauna's.
Yeah, that
Like,
was a good
wow,
one.
you're clearly in a lot of pain, Shauna. Like,
It's almost like her soul is being ripped from her body and being destroyed in order to save the planet. And,
and
her
she's
response
really,
is,
really bored over it. Or she's Tina from Bob's Burgers.
Yeah, That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
Or it's like, is that what she and Dart sound like in bed when Dart's really not actually doing a very good job, but she's trying to pretend like he's doing a good job to make him feel better? She's like, And Dart, being extremely stupid, is like, I'm killing it.
Because Dart's a simple man.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, in the FMV, Dart runs over to get Shauna, and we get to see in like full FMV glory what the Divine Dragoon looks like. And like I said, it's not pretty. Like, if I were Shauna and I just woke up from my coma to see this running at me, I'd be like, "Sorry, I'm going back to my coma. I can't."
It's like too big. It's like it's taking over him. It's like the actual human is like subsumed within this.
Yeah.
It's also
large
got its own.
thingy.
It's also got its own dragon feet, which is
Yeah.
they look really weird.
It looks like a Gen 4 Pokemon.
It's
True.
it does
Gen 4 Legendary.
I was gonna say Gen 5 because it does bear a passing resemblance to like Reshiram or
I guess that's true.
yeah.
But and so Dart runs to get Shauna, who wakes up and does the aforementioned scream, and Rose goes to be with Zeeg as he dies, and Mel Buframa decides that he's not done. It's not even his final form, so he powers up and electrocutes the shit out of Dart. So Rose and Zeeg team up, and Zeeg transforms into the Red Dragoon, and for some reason his Red Dragoon has tentacle arms, because why not?
Because why not?
And so they
Because
charge...
he was merged with Melbuframa, probably.
Yeah. And so they
It's the
charge...
Melbatos that did it.
It's like gangrene, but it's Melbatos.
Yes.
That's after 2 years of MRT.
Yeah. And so they charge at Melbu to kamikaze on his bitch ass, and so then the moon starts to collapse, and everybody escapes. And meanwhile, like, it doesn't make sense because they shouldn't be able to hear each other over all of the explosions, but they're just having a casual conversation about how much they mean to each other.
Yep.
And it still made me tear up, even though it logistically didn't make sense and it was bad voice acting.
Yeah.
But I'm an easy person to make cry. And so
You're also really, really invested in the game.
me
Voice acting
too.
made me cry.
Yeah, for other reasons. So, so they're all saying farewell to each other, and Rose and Zeeg kamikaze and blow up the moon, and it's like a gigantic nuclear explosion, like the size of a literal moon, just huge.
Yep.
Like probably a lot more collateral damage than they needed.
Yeah.
And it probably completely fucked up the environment / ecosystem / tides of the planet. So that's great.
Probably.
That's
All
fun.
the fishermen are like, well, all of my fish died.
Yeah. So, after the FMV is over, we get to see my favorite part in the game. The only thing that sucks is I'm in the future now, and I'm not watching this on a CRT, so I can tell that the gameplay was pre-record, like the in-engine stuff was pre-recorded, so they could put FMV stuff over it. But it just means that it was recorded and then compressed for the PS1, and it's real bad on an HD TV.
Yeah, it is.
But
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that. I thought, honestly, on a Vita, it looks pretty good. I kind of thought they were just kind of doing like I kind of thought maybe they were kind of doing like just an artsy thing.
no, it's JPEG compression.
Gotcha.
Hi, baby. You want to say hi?
That explains why I had the weird frame.
Is it time for Scarlet Cast?
Scarlet Cast, do you want to say hi, baby?
Wait, hold on. I gotta switch glasses. Time to put on my slightly larger glasses.
Hi.
Love you.
Oh, wait, hold on.
You want to say hi in the microphone? No, not today. Okay.
Aw,
Hi, sweetie
Scarlet.
pie.
Hi, baby. Bye-bye.
Oh,
Yeah.
precious.
Yeah,
precious.
she normally, like while we're recording, she'll come up to the mic and say hi, but she didn't want to today.
That's okay.
But yeah, so this scene starts, and we get to see where everybody is now. And Kongol is learning Rouge from Haschel, which I just got to say will make Kongol the most dangerous person alive on the planet to be a Giganto that knows Rouge. That's insane.
He's going to be the final boss of the next game.
Yeah. And then we see Charlie Frama taking care of her plants. And then we see Miranda and her sisters rebuilding the Crystal Palace. And then we see everybody in Tiburoa, and they're all super happy. And then Meru takes her fiance out of the forest and shows him Lohan in a pretty great scene, because Lohan's always great. Yeah. And then we get to see that everyone's truest ship of Albert and Emile is canon, and they get married.
Oh, yeah.
And they're going to give their kids horrible names.
Yeah. EA and Al.
Yeah.
But, and then in, this is going to be hard for me to get through. So then we see Lavitz's room, and we see Lavitz's mom open the door, and Dart walks in to Lavitz's room, and he sets a drink down on the table, because right before Lavitz died and they were hanging out together, he was like, when this is all over, buy me a drink back in Bale. And
for the unsolicited advice that I gave you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was it hurts. It's so good.
Yeah. That heart was really good.
Yeah. When I was playing it, Summer was here in the room, and she turns over, and I'm just like bawling, and I'm like, this is my 5th time, and I still can't take it. But yeah. So,
I choked up a little.
Yeah, so then we see Dart arrive back in Celeste, where he and Shauna are working to rebuild everything. And in each one of these scenes, there's been a white bird with dark markings on its wings that has been, like, in the corner that'll fly off, or it'll swoop by while everything's happening or something.
Bird may or may not have been wearing a choker.
Yeah, and so now after Celeste, it like Dart and Shauna like look at it like puzzlingly, and the bird like flies off, and the camera follows the bird this time, and it flies out over the divine tree and comes to rest with another bird that's white with red markings, and below them in the rubble are the dark and the fire Dragoon spirits, because it's Rose and Zieg, and they get to live happily ever after as seagulls, and that's the end of the game.
That's the dream,
right?
I want to be a seagull.
Yeah.
I want to harass people for food all day.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
They throw bread up in the air, you catch it out of the air, and everyone goes, wow, and they think you're cool, and then you get validation, and you're not hungry.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah. So
goals.
Now,
good goals.
And the end of game screen is very nice. The end screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good one. I love a good the end screen. It's kind of hard to pick a good one. Another good one just off the top of my head is Ocarina of Time. I really love its the end screen.
Yeah, it's a nice one.
But like it's like a black screen with white text that says the end is like the worst way you can do it. Like you have to construct it just right to where a person won't want to turn off their TV, where they're just like, I accomplished the thing, I've reached the end, and now I want to bask in it for a second.
One of these days we're going to play Mother 3, and that game has a hell of a the end screen. It's important. I will say this game did break a rule for me. The end screen, you're supposed to not be able to press any buttons to return to the menu. The only way to get rid of the end screen at the end of a Japanese role-playing game should be to turn the game console off.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, that...
Unless it's post-game content, of course.
It wouldn't go back to the menu for me. It would, like, pressing
No, one of the buttons makes it go back. I forget which button.
I pressed every button and nothing happened.
Maybe you have to wait a certain amount of time.
I don't know. I was going to say Shovel Knight also has really good end screens for all of them.
Oh, yeah, that's got a good one.
Yeah.
And Mega Man 2.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Shovel Knight.
Mega Man 2 is really good. I based the one of my old band's album covers off of the end screen of Mega Man 2.
I remember that.
But, now we've made it to our memorable moment section, which is much expanded for these live episodes, because we talk about the whole game, our favorite parts, cool design bits we liked, themes, motifs, best bits, favorite lines, all sorts of stuff. Does anybody have anything they want to kick off with?
I just wanted to say I was pleasantly surprised by this game. There were some frustrating moments, but for the most part, like, I said it on one of our previous podcast recordings, this is the first one of the games that we've played that I hadn't already played, where I felt like maybe someday I'd like to go back to this now that I know what I'm doing and try to do it correctly, try to 100% it maybe, I don't know. At least get Dart his final edition.
Yeah.
And, like, get people up to level 5 Dragoon and maybe use Meru, because I used her once, and that was that was for the one spot where it required Meru, and I used Hammer Spin because Cool Boogie didn't give enough, it didn't do as much damage, I think, as Hammer Spin. It gave more SP, which I didn't really need. But it was great hearing her go, Hammer Spin! And she sounds like Catbug, and I love that.
That's great.
But overall, like, I really enjoyed the game a lot. So.
Yeah, I'm glad, because I had a feeling that this game was a gem and people just hadn't played it, but I had it deep down that, like, no, this was actually bad, and nobody played it because it was bad. But I'm glad that you really enjoyed it, because I knew that the Grand Jewel was probably going to make you hate the game, and I'm glad that you got through it onto the other side.
Stupid Grand Jewel.
It didn't make me hate the game as much as the Divine Dragon did.
Yeah.
So.
Which is surprising for me, because Grand Jewel is way harder, but... yeah.
I thought the Divine Dragon was practically impossible.
Probably you just got good RNG on the Grand Jewel and bad RNG on the Dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. But what about you, Maddie? What's your closing thoughts?
We've already covered most of the memorable moments, I guess you would say, that from the game, but as far as the game design goes, I think I would say that I was disappointed by the battles by the end, but not in a way that matters that much. Like, disappointed, but in like a chill way. It's like I'm still enjoying playing the game. Well, no, actually, so I was talking to look, y'all know who, everyone listening knows who Bernard is at this point. I mention him all the time. My best friend Bernard. I was explaining the game to him, and the way I explained it to him is, I said, I would recommend this game to anybody because it lays it all out there. This game is very easy to analyze. It's not flashy. It doesn't really obfuscate itself very much, either narratively nor mechanically. So, some games I play, and maybe I enjoy it, maybe I don't, but if you were to ask me, like, how would you improve this game, I'd be like, I don't know. This game, I think it's very easy to answer that question, but one reason it's so easy to answer that question is not because it's so bad and has so much room for improvement, it's because everything about it's so clear. Everything about it's very clear and straightforward, and I really enjoyed the clearness and the straightforwardness of it, even when I was like, man, this isn't what it could be. So I guess from a analytical standpoint, I really enjoyed it. But like, stuff like, as we talked about, magic doesn't make any sense in this game.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, one thing the game does very, very, very right, and I know Eli's going to be mad when I'm going to say this, but I think this is actually a good thing. I think it's good that the additions are hard as hell, because nothing annoys me more. No, here's why, trust me. You might think that it's bad, but imagine if it was easy as hell. Then the game's asking you to do something that's easy every single time, and it's not enjoyable because it's not challenging, but you still have to do it.
Okay.
That's actually the worst, in my opinion. It's something that's easy but still required.
I understand that. However, there's a line, and some of them are just too difficult. Some of them I could not. I was pretty good with Rose, unless she was counterattacked. If she got counterattacked,
hers are real nasty.
What were you gonna say? What did you say?
Hers are real nasty. I'm agreeing with you.
Oh yeah. You have no time to hit the. Shoot, what are the buttons on a PlayStation controller?
Circle.
The circle?
Yeah, the circle button.
You have no time. You have no time to react to that and hit the circle before you're smacked back, because
she goes
it just goes too fast. Albert's additions were really, really hard to learn. because you had already learned Lavitz's, and Albert's had a different rhythm.
Yeah.
They're the same additions, but they're different rhythm. And, I finally got to the point, I've mastered Gust of Wind Dance, or just the Queen's Ass,
Just
as
Queen's
Ken
Ass.
called it. But it took me a while, and, like, I was under the impression that I was not going to be able to use Albert again. And, I picked up on Moonstrike pretty quickly with Dart, but again, that was another point where if I was counterattacked, I was pretty much fucked. I couldn't do it. So, that's just, to me, that's just overly frustrating. To have so many, you've got so many different ones, and you have to learn a different rhythm and pattern for each one, and you can't really learn it during a battle because, maybe you kill the monsters too quickly, maybe the monsters hit too hard. It's, and like, whose turn is it? I've got to just guard on these other two characters, and it takes too long. And I did spend a long time toward the end of the game just running around and practicing Gust of Wind Dance and practicing Dragon Dance, although eventually I just caved and put the Ultimate War God onto Rose.
Yeah. Like, I think I'm pretty good at additions, and I gave Rose the Ultimate War God when I was working on Demon Stance. Like, I can't do it at all.
Have one.
Yeah, I made sure to go buy one because, and I also found out that the Ultimate War God, unlike the War God Calling, so the War God Calling halves the damage that you do and halves the SP that you get.
Yeah.
It does an automatic addition, but it's really not that great. And it also doesn't give you credit toward the levels of or the levels of addition. But the Ultimate War God does. So when I was leveling up additions so that, like, I could get Rose to have her final one, I put the Ultimate War God on her, ran around, had her, hard blade a whole bunch of times with the Ultimate War God, and I didn't have to worry about it, and then I could practice Gust of Wind Dance. So that was fine. And maybe if they gave you the Ultimate War God earlier in the game, if you could have access to it earlier, and apparently you can have access to it on that fucking ship.
Yeah, but that's the most horseshit puzzle that's ever been put into a video game, so that doesn't count.
I wish that I had remembered to go through it more than once, because my numbers were 5566. So it would have been easy as hell.
Yeah.
So, regardless, I wish it was easier to get early on, because if I could just have one of those to stick on someone for, while I was going through it, and then I would only have to learn 2 additions every time. And
it's not really game breaking because you just have one,
Yeah.
Right. And I know I'm ranting a lot about this, and I apologize.
No, it's fine.
No. It's one of my biggest criticisms as well, because not only are they hard, like, it would be fine if they were hard to master, but if you say you have one that that's a 5-hit addition that you get 150% damage, one hit then does 30% of your normal damage. So the price of failure is astronomical for these things. When, like, I feel pressing the attack button, you should get a baseline your attack, and additions should be additional attacks.
Yeah, there's also a big difference between hard but optional and hard but mandatory.
Yeah.
Right.
And this was hard but mandatory. And I was using, I used Crush Dance on Dart on Melbuframa because that one I could do reliably, and it always gave me 100 SP if I completed it.
Yeah.
So I went for the ones that gave me the most SP, but that meant I was doing way less physical damage. If I could have pulled off Moonstrike reliably and consistently, then I would have had more physical damage but less SP, and I just didn't focus on that enough to unlock his final edition, and I don't think I would have been able to do it anyway.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a shame because it's low-key easier.
Really?
Yeah. If you'd gotten it, it would have been good.
Yeah.
Great. Thanks for telling me.
Well, now you know for when you go back.
Well, I don't know if it's easier to hit in general, but the timing on the parries is a lot easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the parries wouldn't have fucked you up as much.
But
Yeah, I actually, the other thing I was going to say about that. So again, that makes a lot of sense. And one of the criticisms I do have. So on one hand, I have a different feeling from you because my main feeling comes from playing that game Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried playing that 3 times, and I always get so bored because I can always nail the attacks, but I have to do it. I'm just like, it's like Tim Rogers says, there should be an I get it button, right? Where I'm like, yeah, I get it. I know how to do it. Can I just not have to do it now? But you still have to. So I'm just playing this boring-ass minigame that I 100% nail every single time, and the attacks take a million years, right? But anyway, here's something that would have improved the game a lot. Mm-hmm. They need to make it, they should have given you addition XP for getting part of it.
Yeah.
Yes.
That, honestly, if they had changed nothing else in the game but changed that, I think everybody, including Eli, would be a lot happier. Like instead of making it where you have to get 20 points to level up, and you only get a point by getting 100%, how about you need to get 40 points to level up, but every time you get the button, you get a point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or 50, like make it more granular. That way, if you get it halfway a bunch of times, it still levels up.
Yeah.
More like with the hidden Dragoon experience bar, where you just have to gain SP in order to level up your Dragoon level, instead of just complete this 20 times and you get another level.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that I think just a small change like that would have gone a long way.
And then
That
also,
would have helped me a ton.
if you wanted to preserve the no, you mastered it and now you're better at it, make the last level from 4 to 5 or whatever, make those require, you have to hit 20 perfect times, but the ones before it, you still, like, if you're bad at, say, Albert's additions, you will always be bad at Albert's additions and he will never get better. Because his damage percentage won't ever go up. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm just not going to use that character.
Which was why I shelved him for so long.
Well, that's the thing is, RPG's mechanics, character experience is supposed to be a metaphor for player experience. Mm-hmm. So if I am trying to get better at the addition and kind of succeeding, then he should get kind of stronger.
Yeah.
Right? But instead, it's like, wait, until I have 100% mastered it, the character doesn't get any percent stronger.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So, metaphorically, it would even make more sense from an RPG standpoint.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, and then, other than that, just, me and Sam talk all the time about the kind of the sort of game that Sam's making, which is very inspired by this game, where it's just like, yeah, there's just a million tiny little tweaks you can make that would have really just made it really sing, right? And brought it all together. Like, there's all these nuances that aren't dug into as much as they could have. Elementals could have been more of a thing. They were already a pretty good bit of a thing, but making them even more of a thing could have been good. So yeah, it's
rebalancing the amount of gold and experience you get from each thing. I actually don't think I brought this up last episode, but in the Japanese version, it's even worse. You get even less gold, even less experience for every random mob you get. So you literally only level up at bosses.
I think the amount of gold is okay, because I never grinded at all in the game, except I guess a little bit for Rose at the very end. And what happened was, because I never grinded, I was never able to buy the really amazing OP optional items until the end of the game. By the end of the game, I finally had enough to buy 1 or 2 of them. That kind of makes sense to me. I always had enough to buy the weapons and the armor, but not enough to buy the OP items because I wasn't grinding.
Yeah,
but the XP is bad.
Gold is probably okay. The XP is horrible.
It's so bad.
Yeah,
your
so
random mobs
bad.
give you 100, and your boss gives you 12,000. That's not good. That's
absurd. It is absolutely absurd.
The mobs on the moon were better. The ones, like, I went and farmed those Triceratopses, which those are not Triceratops. That's more like an Ankylodon. But anyway, so I farmed those for a while, and those give 2,000 experience each.
Yeah.
So, but they're also kind of like a mini-boss, because they take a while to kill.
Yeah.
They really do.
But even then, like, groups of 3 mobs were still giving like 700 experience, which is still pretty low, especially at level 39.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
that
was, to me, that was like, I was like, what's the point of grinding?
Yeah.
because I'm not going to gain anything from it.
The guide I was reading at the very beginning, it's like, if you're going to grind, you should grind your additions success percentage and not your XP. Don't care about your level at all in this entire game.
And that's the thing is, it seems like I'm just saying a bunch of criticisms, but weirdly enough, these aren't actually criticisms. This is why I liked the game. It's like a building where you can see all the scaffolding, you know, like because everything was so clearly presented in this game. I got a lot of enjoyment out of thinking about things like this, and also it's just cool seeing someone take ideas from Final Fantasies 7 and 8, and frankly, probably Terradigma, now that I think about it, because the birds thing, that's a Terradigma thing, okay? So these people who play Terradigma. It's cool seeing people synthesize all these ideas, you know? And because I'm a person who that's the kind of art I want to make. Like the mindset behind the people who made this game is probably very similar to the mindset I take when I make games.
Yeah, somebody literally was like, man, Final Fantasy is so great. Also Terranigma, also Power Rangers. What if?
Yeah, what if, yeah. But then but the funny thing is the end result, the core fundamentals of the battle system is not really ripped off of anything. It's very original. And even though they didn't really nail it, it's cool to see, oh, here's a whole nother way that you could go about conceptualizing this kind of thing. The characters exist outside of the roles you expect from these sort of games.
Nobody's a tank. Nobody's a healer. Like, technically, Shauna and Maru are healers because they have heal spells, but so does Rose. Does that make Rose a healer? Like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, nobody's... And as someone who... anything.
And as someone who is... there's no way to bore me faster than to be explaining your new game concept to me and you start using the word fucking DPS, okay? Like, like if every game is low-key actually just the same fucking system, then I don't give a shit, right? So seeing games that conceptualize a different way, conceptualize a different way of being is always very, very, very nice.
Yeah, and on top of that, nobody feels like they're just a DPS. Like, Dart and Rose feel different, even if they have relatively same damage output and relatively same, like, one's a sword, one's a rapier, and, like, both were Dragoons quickly and stuff, but they feel different when you play them, and they did a really good job in that.
Also, saying this game does kind of a Dragon Quest thing where, because you have no control over your character's builds, you don't get to pick if someone's spells hit all or one, right? So, like, if I recall, Kongol's spells only hit all. So, like, that's kind of unique. It's like, oh, you want to hit someone really hard, a single enemy really hard with an earth attack? You can't, actually, because Kongo doesn't have that.
You can, with certain ones, like Rose has one that does damage to all, but then she's also got Astral Drain, which does damage to one. Dart's got Explosion, which does all damage, but then he's got Final Burst, which does a lot of single target damage, and so there is some choice there, but not like...
Right. Well, I'm saying that's a good thing. I'm saying that's a good thing. The fact that you can't get 100% control over it, the fact that it's just like, oh, you wish that Dart's final spell was a single instead of being an all, because his final spell is an all, and it costs a shit ton of mana, but maybe you just want to hit one bad guy because it's a boss. Well, too bad. You got to use the all because that's stronger, and just deal with it. You don't get to pick your build. Right.
Yeah.
And that led to a lot of interesting decisions as well. And the all versus one thing.
And from there, a lot of the uniqueness for each character came out. So, like, Rose, like, 3 of her attacks only deal 25% of her magic attack, which makes her, as a Dragoon, like, she can't tap into her high magic attack as a Dragoon, but it's okay because each of her 25% have a status effect on them that nobody else does. So she's, like, your time mage, for lack of a better term.
She's also got a nice instant kill for low-level mobs, or for, like, random enemies.
But then she lacks a deal just all damage to everyone a whole lot spell. Like Dart does, which is interesting. So just really cool. The way that it envisions its party dynamic is again, it doesn't always work, but I like that they're trying something new. I like that it's kind of jank. And also, the main way you deal status effects is A, use Rose, or B, like 2/3 of the way through the game, you get all these weapons that do status effects.
Yeah.
And that's cool. You never learn a fucking paralysis, spell. It's not like you can just equip the right materia and teach everybody paralyze and stop and poison.
I
it's like, no, you equip the one character that actually gets that weapon. Only one character in the whole out of the 7 actually gets that weapon, and you give them that weapon, and if you want to paralyze someone, you put them in your party.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
I think of the reusable items, I think there was one for fear minor enemies and maybe poison minor enemies, and that's it.
I never used them, though.
I didn't either. But it's like, if you wanted to do it, it's much easier to like, I want to instant kill or confuse or whatever to just equip the weapon and let Hashel go to town or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's overall. I really appreciated this game's design. It was cool. I can see why someone like, for example, Sam would want to rip off 50% of its ideas.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Just throwing that example out there is
Speaking of ripping things off, I am going to rip off Maddie from the last episode, and I want to reveal something about myself to you guys. I have decided that I want to live my life as a YouTuber, and
oh my god, he's coming out of the YouTube closet.
Sam, I cannot accept that.
I've already lived my life as a YouTuber.
I don't think that God creates people as YouTubers. That's against the Bible.
It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and PewDiePie.
Being a YouTuber is a choice.
It is so.
Which is great. But so as a little bonus Patreon reward thing, I've decided that most RPG analysis on YouTube and also everywhere sucks. Like, literally, there are like
it's so
10
bad.
on Gama Sutra, and like that's it. And then all the ones on I found all the ones on YouTube because it like let me get in camera because I'm talking with my hands. So in RPGs, they are the combination of wizardry and visual novel, and in the middle you have your JRPG. Everyone on YouTube either is a wizardry kid or a visual novel kid, so it's always a story-based review or I grinded for 50 hours and the game wasn't fun anymore type review. And it's just like none of them are talking about like the fusion of them in the way that I would like, so I decided I should do that instead. But I haven't played a lot of games, so my idea, and patrons will get this 2 weeks before YouTube will, is I will play the first big chunk of a certain game, so basically like an episode's worth, like we would do here on the podcast, and get through all of the main gameplay loop. So like going out and exploring on the world map, going through a dungeon, facing a boss, coming to your new town, those sorts of like things where you do it, which in older games is a lot easier to dissect. For example, like if I were doing Kingdom Hearts 2, I would have to get all the way through Roxas and then all the way through Land of Dragons. So that's a lot longer of a chunk, but I'll make it up as I go along for each game. But the first one of these should be up next week sometime. I'm like hurting myself saying this because it's not done yet, but this is the fire I'm lighting under my ass that the intro episode will be up next week, and then the first meaty episode will be up a week after that, and then they should come out on like a monthly cadence. Like, I'm not gonna kick my ass for this thing, but patrons will get to see it 2 weeks early, which is super cool. So if you want to be a patron, you can check that out, which will be super duper cool. But yeah, I think with that we will move to the Q&A, which I just remembered I need to have Discord open. I hope this doesn't stop my recording.
I've got it open if you need me to read stuff.
Okay, we'll see how my recording just turned red, so I'm going to close Discord back.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'll handle it.
Oh, it's going so slow. I hope I don't lose anything. Yeah, you start reading. I'm going to try and save my computer before this whole thing crashes to the ground.
Okay, let me see.
Is Desert Streams one about the side quest, the first one?
Yes, but she asked what makes a good side quest.
Cool,
What
so we're
makes a
going
good
to
side
go in
quest?
order?
Yeah,
I'm not
so
even seeing
start.
that one.
It was up before. She asked it before I pinged for it. but so yeah, we'll start with that one. Our good friend Desert Stream asked us, what, in our opinion, do we think makes a good side quest?
I don't believe in them. Hashtag Dragon Quest 7 gang. 120 hours, no side quests.
Jesus Christ.
I like a side quest that tells me more about the world and has some relevance to the story. I don't know. I've skipped side quests on these games like everyone we've played, but I have a finite amount of time to play each week, because of other stuff I want to do. I need to get back to doing my Let's Plays, and I haven't been doing those in a while, at least not regularly. But I've got work, and I've got other things. I raid with someone who's in our chat right now. And that's 18 Dobermans. She's my raid leader, she's my guild leader. Her boyfriend is our raid leader.
Nice.
Okay, look, I'll go with Skyrim as an example, because I played the fuck out of Skyrim. I like a side quest that's gonna give me a good reward. I go after side quests that will lead me to new areas. I go after side quests where I will easily be able to steal shit. Part of the reason I like side quests in a game that I'm playing for leisure rather than for something like a Let's Play or a podcast is because they prolong the game.
Mm-hmm.
It means that I can keep playing this game that I'm really, really enjoying. And I mean, I've never finished the main story of Skyrim. It's been side quests all the way when I'm not stealing shit from people.
Yeah.
But something that gives me more to experience. If it's just go talk to a bunch of people and it has nothing to do with the plot and stuff like that, I'm not super interested, because that's not really playing the game.
Yeah. I love a good side quest, but for me, there needs to be one available side quest at a time. Like, my big problem with Xenoblade 2, which is a phenomenal game, it probably deserves all of the 100 out of 100s that it got, except every time I would come into a new town and there would be 500 people with a little dot over their head asking for a quest, I would accept all of them because I have a problem, but I would lose track instantly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't connect with any of them on an emotional level. But if every time you come to a town, there's somebody looking for their lost cat, or they have a rumor about a piece of treasure out somewhere, or something like that, where it's okay, this is not the main thing I need to be doing, but it's this other thing, but it's also not 100 things all at once, because my quest log in Xenoblade on my completed file is just filled from every single province, because I got lost, or I would be on my way to do I would be trying to diligently do a side quest, and another side quest would be there, and I would go off on that one and go off on all of those, and then end up on the main quest, and nothing would ever get done and stuff. And I agree with Eli that they should feel, if not important, feel relevant. So in Legend of Dragoon, we might not be fighting Melbu Frama's brother or something that would be plot relevant, but if there were side quests that were about freeing yourself from the past, and there are other themes and stuff like that, that make you learn more about the characters on a emotional level type thing, those are all my good ones. And then of course it needs to be worth it for the reward. The reward for beating all of the Dragoons is you did it, and that sucks. But
yeah, that was
and
you
you get all their accessories, which are nice.
Yeah, but not as nice as just wearing a legend casque and moving on through life.
Going on from my stupid jokey response earlier, I actually a few things. I think there's a lot of ways to do things, because like one of the things I like about side quests, I was about to say like FF7 like completely does the opposite, and I like that too. I think that I don't like. I actually disagree that having important plot shit in side quests makes it feel better to me, because I'm like, I don't know, if you want me to care about your story, and this is an important like context for a character's motivations, why would you make that something I could miss? That's kind of stupid, like, in my opinion. On the other hand, you got FF7, where it's like the entire character of Vincent and everything involving his story, which is pretty damn important. Well, actually, you know what? Actually, I don't think that's a contradiction. Yes, Vincent and everything related to him is completely optional and you can miss it, but none of that has anything to do with Cloud or Tifa or Aerith and their motivations. Like, yeah, it explains a lot of important plot shit, but it's not like you're missing out on the emotional thrust of the game. If you don't understand that. It just explains some stuff, right? So anyway, I don't think that you should segregate out stuff that would make the game, like, story better into making it optional. I think that the other way around. I like side quests that are stories, not necessarily stories like narrative, like depending on the kind of video game, either narrative stories or like game mechanical stories that are complete in themselves. One game that has great side quests actually is Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild's NPC writing is stupendously good. Way better than the actual main story writing. Actually, they probably had different teams doing the main content and the sub content. All the like any non-voice dialogue is like probably the best writing I've seen in a Nintendo game. It's characterful. It's often funny, but not like it's trying to be funny all the time, like it has to be, which is annoying. It's always annoying when a game feels like it has to make you laugh all the time. It's got lots of personality. It's got lots of nuance. The random unnamed NPCs are all very likable, and they all have interesting little stories to tell. And you get to engage in those stories in a fun way. And from a game mechanical standpoint, I never want a side quest that's just like, go out and kill 10 things. You know? Like, have some reason to put this damn thing. I'll put up with go out and kill 10 things if, from a narrative standpoint, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So, like, I just hate filler. I hate it when I can tell that something is in the game because that's the kind of game it is. And these kind of games have to have a zillion side quests, otherwise critics will say that it doesn't have enough content or some dumb shit like that.
Yeah.
Then you have a bunch of copy-pasted quests where someone asks you to collect a bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
No. Either A, have me do something boring, but then at the end it's, like, really poignant and I get sad or something. That's how Nier Automata is, right? Nier's like, your reward for the side quest is that you get sad, right?
Yeah.
Or have the game have an interesting mechanical idea in your side quest. It should not just feel rote, but it also should not. It should feel rote, and it should feel like it is an addition to the game, and not necessarily a necessary part of it. Like if you have some cool, maybe there's some cool deep cut mechanic, like some really. Like maybe it's an action game, and you have some weird advanced technique that they feel like putting that in the main game would be a little bit too much, because requiring people to master it to beat the game would be a little mean, because not everyone's good at games. But putting a side quest in that makes you master that technique that's the content. I don't even care about the reward. The reward is I got to engage in this aspect of the game. And that's another thing that Breath of the Wild does very well, actually. So
Yeah.
I guess that was long-winded, but that's my thing. Just put some effort into it. I don't just want to continue playing this game.
Yeah.
In fact, I don't want to keep playing the game.
Go ahead, Eli.
I was gonna say, I will say, my all-time favorite game, Undertale, has 0 side quests. It's all everything that you do is main story, and while I do wish there was more Undertale, I don't wish for side quests.
I actually disagree. I think Undertale is unique in the fact that all of it is a side quest. Because the true pacifist ending is the ending you get if you do all of the side quests and you do all of the things. And so the meat of the game... The meat of the game comes from the alternate stuff. So if you just play the quote-unquote main quest and you go from waypoint to waypoint, you get the demonstrably bad ending, but everything else is extra. And so yes, the pushing your glasses, no true Scotsman would ever play Undertale and not get to the true pacifist ending, but it's still like in the like it's unique for that fact where it's like yeah, you want to go and do all of the side quests to learn all of the things, but there's not any like useless side quests. I guess I'd put it that way.
Okay. There's no
chocobo farming in Undertale.
Yeah, that makes sense the way you put it, and I absolutely agree with you in that regard. But
adding chocobo racing to Undertale, I agree, would not make Undertale any better.
That's what I meant, though. I guess that's what I meant, though, about wanting side quests that are relevant to the plot of the game and the story.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to 100% the game, I want what I'm doing to be relevant to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas, chocobo farming, not really.
So my reductionist take before we move on to the next question. My reductionist take for it is that turned my camera off.
Lol.
Let me undo that and fix that. I just need to buy a webcam, guys.
Sam, you got to improve your profile pic. It's so bad.
It's real bad.
It's a lot worse. Like, I'm looking at like a good-looking person, and then your camera turns off, and I'm like, "Who? Stop that! I don't like that at all."
Don't do that. But yeah. So the camera should hit to click back in any second. I told it to turn my camera on.
Yay! There it is.
There it is. Cool.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Okay. So yeah. So my reductionist take for side quests before we move on is that the side quest ideally will have a dungeon. If not a dungeon, we'll have a boss. If not a boss, will be a beach episode. that is my reductionist take.
That's good.
Dungeon
at the very least, you want some Operation Babe Hunt in your game.
No. No. What we're not going to do is. But yeah. All right. Who was next? I know Matt threw in a bunch of joke ones, so you can skip his joke ones if you want.
Matt's non-jokey one that I see is favorite games that no one has played.
Okay.
That's really tough for me. I think the only one I can think of off the top of my head, because even the fact that most of my favorite games are indie games, they're really popular indie games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big indie.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But the one that I can think of that I feel like probably no one has played, but that I really like is it's a game called The Neverhood, and it was created back. It was made in 1996 or published in 1996 by DreamWorks. The artist on The Neverhood, who is unfortunately a fundamentalist Christian, but
he's a really good artist.
He did the art for Earthworm Jim.
Oh, nice.
And it's a point-and-click adventure game for PC. It's very, very weird, which I like weird things. And it's all claymation.
Oh, nice.
And there's a spiritual successor on Steam that I've purchased called Armacrog, which I'll play eventually, but I just haven't gotten around to it yet. To play The Neverhood, you have to go through some hoops at this point. A special program that'll play those old CDs, which I did.
Yeah.
But, I feel like practically no one has played this game.
I've literally never heard of it.
I'm a big fan of Doug TenNapel and adventure games and claymation, so I'm the target audience for this game, and I haven't played it. So it's very strange.
Yeah. It's really neat. It's got some crazy music. It's got a weird creation kind of story.
Nice.
Yeah, it's something. And I started playing it for YouTube. I got through one episode and I was like, this is really tedious and it's going to take me a while before I can prepare myself to play more. So
my answer is one I was talking about. I think was either off the air before we recorded, or it was in the Discord or something. But it's called Iggy's Wrecking Ball, and it's the only good game on the Nintendo 64. And you play as these. I would say anthropomorphic, but they're not like shaped like a human. They just have human qualities, and you are literal wrecking balls with grappling hooks. And the gameplay is a multiplayer racing game where multiplayer racing platformer, and you are these wrecking balls that roll as fast as they can, or hop, I think, actually, and they hop, and you use the grappling hook to shoot up and swing and get to the next level and under the levels and go on loop-de-loops and all of these things, and it's incredibly good. It is the best multiplayer game ever, and the best game on the N64.
Grappling hook, basically.
Yeah. It's
Would you
really
say
good.
you came in like a wrecking ball?
Yes. Yeah, like I remember being a kid and like drawing fan art of Iggy's Wrecking Ball because it was that good. It's great. But what about you, Maddie?
I don't have a ton. I mean, it's in the modern
Is it
day.
Dragon Quest?
In the modern day, a lot of games that used to be like unknown cult classics because of the internet no longer are, right? Mm-hmm. So like, yeah. I would say like Space Funeral, but I feel like anyone in sort of just the weird, just like sort of the weird artsy scene knows about Space Funeral, right? Mm-hmm. And
listeners of this podcast should know.
Yeah, and all of the Catamites' games. Any game by the Catamites, any game by Ink Repair, any game by Michael Brogue, all of those people have made games that are well known, but then a bunch of others that aren't. So I'll list a couple that are medium unknown. Okay. One. It's an Ink Repair game called Q, and it's a game about waiting in line at the DMV. It's brilliant. It's a statement.
We need more DMVs in our game.
There's two
We've
things.
Only had
one,
two so far.
It's a brilliant piece of fiction. It's a brilliant writing, and two, I won't spoil anything, but it's got some really amazing things to say about like. It experiments with interactivity in some very interesting ways, considering it's a game about doing nothing and waiting.
Yeah.
It sounds a little like Papers, Please, just the way you're describing it.
That I see why it sounds like it is, although it is not.
Okay.
Y'all should check it out. It's free. All of Ink Repair's games except for 2 are free. He makes a zillion of them. Anyway, other games. Drakengard 3. Drakengard 3 is a fucking brilliant game. It's the same composer as Nier and Nier Automata, but in my opinion, it's that composer's best score. So if you like Nier Automata's music, you might like Drakengard 3's music even more. It's a very mean and nasty game, and in a cool way.
I heard Eli won't like this game.
It's not sweet and sad like Nier. It's cynical and vaguely upsetting.
Mean and nasty as far as its story goes.
Yeah, not gameplay wise. Gameplay wise,
okay.
it's an action game that isn't super great, but it's not stupendously difficult either.
Oh, I might not like it anyway if it's just mean spirited.
Anyway, it owns. And then, let's see, what else?
In regards to Drakengard 3, Drakengard 1 was my game in which I would load up the dragon tutorial level where you're supposed to torch the battlefield and be done in 30 seconds, and I would instead just take Khaim out on his feet with his sword and slaughter 10,000 people just by walking as like my wind down from coming home from school.
Nice.
Is this another game similar to that? Being the third one in that series.
It's not a Muso. It's more of a character action game.
Okay.
So yeah, they made this shift from Muso style thing to more like Devil May Cry kind of thing. Though it's not as well designed as Devil May Cry.
Okay.
But yeah, no, it owns. There are a few more I had in my head that I've forgotten. A bunch of classic indies like Secluse, stuff like that. Here's the third one I was going to mention. Jumping Flash and Jumping Flash 2 for the PlayStation. Also, again, not that unknown if you're in weirdo
It
circles.
it made it to the PlayStation Classic.
Yeah, so
which
it's not,
is down to $50 in most places.
It was actually very popular at the time, but I feel like it has been forgotten by a lot of people.
I don't even know what it is.
They're brilliant. I've actually never played the first one, but I played the second one, and I've heard they're kind of the same. It is a very, very, very early experiment in, like, what the hell is a 3D platformer? We don't know yet, because 3D just started existing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's good shit. So anyway, those are some of my recs. Sadly, I don't know any, like, stupendously, like... Oh, wait, Dinosaurs in Pakistan. That's my favorite game that no one plays. Next.
That's a good one. Next question.
So I'm gonna skip a couple of questions because they're a little more in depth, and this one is relevant to what we just played. Griffin asks, favorite and least favorite characters in Legend of Dragoon.
Okay, so my favorite... This is really hard. This is literally asking me to pick my favorite child.
Well, do you want us to go first while you consider who your favorite children are?
No, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. I think it's going to be Rose. I think Rose is my favorite character because she's amazing. And I think... like, the reason she wins out is not just because she's the big titty goth GF at the beginning, but because instead of, like I mentioned last week, she has the reverse character arc that most people have. Like, she starts off sure of herself, and she's like a broken mess at the end to then have her big redemption that she didn't even need because it was self-imposed broken mess in, like, the last FMV. And I love that, like, backwards V-ish character arc, and also just the way that voice actress says "die" is just, it's so good.
Die more and more. I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah, it's good. Then my least favorite, if we're talking playable characters, that's impossible for me to pick. I guess I would have to pick Shauna, but, like, I understand that Shauna's great.
No, it's Miranda.
I mean, yeah. I don't know if I guess it's Miranda would be worse. The funny thing is I just wasn't thinking about Miranda because I don't give a shit about her.
She's so forgettable.
Yeah. So I think it is Miranda. If we're talking non-playable characters, no one, because the NPCs are the best part of this game.
Yeah, they're all great. For me, or if you asked me this question ages ago, I would have said, like, I don't know, Haschel, Kongol. But you know what? Now that I'm at the end of the game, I'm like, I like Haschel, I like Kongol. Yeah, they're basically non-characters, but, like, they're, especially Kongol, but Kongol's one big moment is the most laugh out loud funny part of the entire game.
So good.
He's great. For favorite, I'm gonna go ahead and say Meru.
Yeah,
she's a simple character. Really cool. She's just the dumb kid. She's just the Yuffie of the party. But she's real cute. She has no illusions about why she's there and what her motivations are. She just thinks that the world is cool and that humans are cool and that she likes to do that. And then of course she wants to help because she's a good person. That's it. But she's a little ray of sunshine, and when she says "cool boogie," it's hilarious. Her combo literally involves her falling on her ass. It's like, wait, but that's when I successfully do the attack. Like, who intentionally designs a move where you fall on your ass? Like, why don't you just do something else? It's great
because she did good.
It's good shit.
So
I don't have a favorite.
My favorite's a tie, because I do love Rose, and part of why she's one of my favorites is because, you know, I've had her through the entire game. I've gotten to know her. The one who ties for her, and I feel a little bad saying that they tie for her because we didn't have them as long, is Lavitz. Lavitz was so good. He was such a good, sweet boy.
He's very good.
You know, he cared about his mother, and he cared about his king, and even in spite of that, you know, he wouldn't just put the life of his king above everything else. He cared about everyone, and he had such a big heart, and, you know, the right motivations. He just fucked up a little too hard when it came to Lloyd. And, like, I mean, that whole thing just, they killed my favorite. They killed my favorite boy. But I like Rose just as much because of how much I've gotten to know her. And for the same kind of reasons that Sam said, that, you know, she starts out confident, but she kind of starts to lose that, and it's an interesting thing to see in a character. Least favorite is Miranda. She's kind of a hypocrite in some ways, but, like, she also doesn't have enough of a character for me to say she's a hypocrite. So I don't know. I don't much care for her. I missed Shauna even though I never used them, like, I would rather have Shauna in my party than Miranda. Yeah.
Any other questions before?
So we do have a couple, but we're at an hour 30 for recording. Do we want to do just one more, or do we want to try and go through both quickly?
Let's just do one more, because I think they're both from the same person, right?
No, one is from JRPGT and the other is from Rakesies.
Oh, then, yeah, we'll do both of them, as long as we're not repeating, like, 2 from Matt or 2 from Griffin or something.
Oh, yeah. So JRPGT asks, what is your best example of orange juice and toothpaste in an RPG, i.e., 2 things that are great separately but make for one bad combo together?
So I was thinking hard about this the other day, and I had one, and it's gone, and I'm trying to remember what it was.
While you're thinking, I've got a good one.
Go for it.
So mine is, I don't think this is always true, but it's true in one case. I think any combo can be bad if you just are too eager and don't think about things. You can't just take everything you like and throw it in a game without thinking about it. Mm-hmm. So a great example is Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It is not that great of a game. Do not at me. And the reason is, it took the classic Castlevania formula, and every Castlevania before Symphony of the Night is fucking brilliant. They're all phenomenal video games. And they thought, what if we added some stuff to this? What if we added more to make it more than just a basic action game? They added 2 things. First, they made it a Metroidvania style. They said, it's now one big open area environment where you go around and you have lock and key sort of stuff and you kind of explore, right? So you got that that Super Metroid style, which is okay. It's not a bad idea. But they also were like, what if we added in RPG elements? Leveling up, equipment, shops, spells, way too much equipment, and stats and stuff. And adding both of those was just way too much, because you took the most hard, and I don't mean hard as in difficult, I just mean like the most rock solidly designed action games on the planet, and you said, what if we just watered it down? Because if you can't choose what order you go at shit in, then they have no control over the difficulty curve. If you can't, if you have a million different equipment items and a million different stats, then there's no way to balance an enemy to be a particular difficulty, right? There's no way to choose to carefully place your enemies into the environments in such a way as to engender a very interesting challenge. It's just completely watered down on everything that was good about those games. And again, it's because they took 2 ideas, neither of which were terrible ideas in general, but they tried both in the same game. Maybe if they had added one in one game and nailed it, and then added the other one in the next game. You know what I mean? And I haven't played any other post-Symphony Castlevania, so maybe they get better later, but
yeah, I hear Aria of Sorrow is really good, but I also hear the Symphony of the Night is really good, and I've played neither.
Yeah.
So. Go ahead. I'm still thinking.
Okay.
I know what it is.
Okay,
I remember now.
Go ahead.
It is monster catching and tactical RPGs. So specifically, Final Fantasy Tactics has this entire monster breeding, catching, everything sort of thing
that you ignore.
That you ignore because it's much more rewarding to just have 5 dudes that you make awesome throughout your playthrough, and there's no point in having more than 5 people in your party, especially not ones that you can't even multi-class.
That's a good one.
In most RPGs where you have a normal system plus monster catching. I haven't played Dragon Quest V, so this is not including that one. But most of the time, the monster catching raising part of it feels like a tack on, and you might do it once, and then you get 4 named story characters, and you just stick with those.
Yep.
So for me,
Related, real quick, sorry. Related, blue mages. Blue mages have almost never been, like, they've been really cool on paper, and they've almost never been implemented well.
Yeah,
they've
but-
just added those to Final Fantasy XIV as well, and they're useless. They're
Yeah.
only...
Spoiler alert, FF10 won't buck this trend. FF10 will not buck this trend.
Okay.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
The blue mages in Final Fantasy XIV can only be leveled to 50. The max level in game right now is 70. And you can't use them in any group content. You can only use them in the outdoor world by yourself.
Huh.
It's dumb. It's like, I was like, why did they even... I'm not going to bother leveling this because there's no point to it. Why did they put this in the game? I mean, I guess at level 50 you get a fancy outfit. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
I've got plenty of other fancy outfits for classes that I actually play and care about. So, like, I don't understand why they added Blue Mage other than just to be like, here's a shiny new thing for you to do while you wait for the next expansion.
Mm-hmm.
My orange juice and toothpaste in an RPG, random encounters, and 3D platforming mechanics. Sorry, Rogue Galaxy and
Yep.
Years.
Gears. Yeah, that one.
That's fair.
Cross Gears Chronicles Blade. I hated both of those. Like having to do those together. I'm a simple man who comes from an era where you didn't jump in your RPGs. And
Back in my day, we didn't even jump in Zelda.
yeah, for real. Like, okay, maybe if you played Zelda 2, but I never played Zelda 2 because I didn't have an NES. Oh, well, I guess Link's Awakening also had jumping. But regardless.
Still.
I can't wrap my head around 3D platforming very well. I have to do it in I'm playing Steven Universe Save the Light, and there's some 3D platforming in that, but there's no such thing as a random encounter. It's like Paper Mario. All the enemies around you can see in the world, and you can avoid them. And then, if you defeat them, they don't come back unless you reload the game. Which is really super nice. It's a little annoying, I guess, for grinding, but... well, you can also leave the area and come back. But regardless, but with random encounters thrown into that, like... In Xenogears, I got to a point where I had to force an encounter before making a big jump. Because if I didn't, and the game decided it was putting me in an encounter as I was about to jump, I didn't know I was going into an encounter, but the jump button suddenly stopped working.
Yeah. And like
so
specifically...
I would just fall off.
Specifically with Xenogears, like thinking to the jumping puzzles that we both liked, the one in the sewers with the chest that was super up high, and then the one in the first floaty continent one where you're outside on like the windmill parts of it. We both liked those because there were no random encounters in the
no
area.
battles.
No battles, and that made them like we failed a lot, but failing was bad instead of getting a counter was bad.
Exactly. Also, in Xenogears, if you got into an encounter right as you were hitting a save point, the save point didn't work anymore. So
that game has a lot more problems than just
Got
that.
more than 2 problems.
I don't entirely hate it. I liked it more than Rogue Galaxy, and that's saying a lot. But that just it doesn't pair well for me. It breaks my flow. When I'm doing platforming, I want to be playing a game that's made for platforming if I'm doing platforming. I want to be playing Hollow Knight. I want to be playing Mario. I want to be playing Shovel Knight. Those are platform games.
Yeah.
An RPG does not a platform game make.
Yeah. One of these days, someone's going to figure it out. They might have already figured it out, and it's called Valkyrie Profile. We'll see if we ever play that game. But,
so,
what was the last question?
The last question we have is from Rexes, and he says, "Is there an if there's an RPG you wish there was a sequel to?" Oh, dang it! And my screen saver went on. Sorry. Okay, is there an RPG you wish there was a sequel to that it never received? Or, on the other hand, is there a game everyone is crying out for a sequel for that you don't think needs to be made?
Okay, I'm going to start on the other hand, and there is a big push for a midquel between Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross of like what's the immediate aftermath of that story, and I don't care.
That's stupid.
I don't want it. There's so many different like games and fan like pixel art projects to like what would this game be and stuff like that, where you're like playing as an older I almost gave a spoiler to Eli, but
yeah, it's very easy to spoil.
Yeah, so but like there's just like different things like that, and while each of them have looked cool, I wouldn't want to experience 40 hours of that. And I think the main reason I like Chrono Cross as a sequel to Chrono Trigger is because it doesn't give a shit about Chrono Trigger almost.
Yeah, basically.
It has its cake and gets to eat it too, because it's like it relies on you caring about this one side character from Chrono Trigger, but it is not what happens next in the world of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a sidequel, but that's in the future more than a sequel. And yeah, that's one that I see a lot of clamoring for that I really don't care about.
Mm-hmm. I try to have a strong opinion about this because my opinion is generally this work of art is great. It does need a sequel. A sequel would fuck it up. Would fuck up like the good ending. But you know what? A lot of the time you're surprised. For example, like Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
What a fucking great movie. And
Yeah.
does there need to be a Toy Story 4? No. But you know what? What if it ends up being fantastic?
Amazing. The trailer is great.
So like, so for me that would be Mother 4. I don't think there needs to be Mother 4. I don't like when fans try to make one. That's stupid. Shigesato Itoi is not a game designer. He doesn't even like video games, for the most part. He's made 3 of them in his life, and probably intends to keep it that way. If Shigesato Itoi woke up one day and was like, I have a great idea for a 4th Mother game, it would be the fucking best game ever made, probably. Yeah. But barring that, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't want an Earthbound-like game. Like, I would want the next one.
Yeah, I want to see whatever pops into Shigesato. I would love for him to return to the world of video game development, but I don't give a shit about the world of Mother. Although, I will say, if you don't get why fans might want Mother 4, it's because you haven't played Mother 3. If you've only played Earthbound, you're like, wow, would a sequel to this be necessary? Mother 3 does do some very interesting world-building type stuff. Which is probably the impetus for that feeling. Yeah. But yeah, like I don't give a shit. That's stupid. Game that I wish would have a sequel. Breath of Fire. I know they actually made it. I know they kind of low key made one, but it was like some phone game only available in Japan. It probably blows. Breath of
Wild Arms 6 is the one I want to exist. I forgot to say it.
Because Breath of Fire 1 sucks. Breath of Fire 2 is kind of okay, I guess. Breath of Fire 3 is like pretty good. Breath of Fire 4 is like super good, and Breath of Fire 5 is like the best fucking game ever made. So like, it's so cool to see how they keep getting better. And if the same team made Breath of Fire, I would love to see what happens next from those game designers. They're very interesting. Capcom's got this team of people who make RPGs that do a really interesting job of it. So I think that'd be super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Eli?
Well, okay, so I guess for an RPG I wish there was a sequel to that it never received. The only one I can really think of is a Sailor Moon RPG, because I do like the idea
That'd be good.
of it. And I mean, I love Sailor Moon. I'm a diehard Sailor Moon fan. It would have been cool to see something come out like on the PlayStation or something like that. And I mean, there was some PlayStation, or maybe it was Sega Saturn, some more recent console Sailor Moon game, but I don't know that it was an RPG. But, you know, something where it actually, like, if they did it on a modern system, they could make it look like the anime, kind of like what they did with, like, the South Park game. You know, that game looks like the show.
Yeah.
You know, and
that would be cool.
They could have, you know, the full transformation sequences, and they could really fan service it up. And they could make it a totally new story, not related to the plot of the anime or manga.
Yeah. And like, I was looking because Summer was getting into RPGs, and she was like, as like my first step into it, besides the Sailor Moon one, is there some like magical girl princessy sort of thing? Because like that's what she likes a lot, and that'll be like a easy step. And so she won't have to like, okay, what is an orc? Meanwhile, what is an RPG type thing? And there's surprisingly few for a genre that seems to be 100% based on like Sentai and video gamey like concepts, like oh, everyone has superpowers, everyone has like their own element, everyone has special moves. Like, why is this not a game? And most of the time they're fighting games if they exist, and there's like one or two.
There's a ton of Sailor Moon fighting games that are like Street Fighter kind of clones. There was a fan game sequel to Sailor Moon, Another Story, that was made, but it is bad.
It's bad.
It's so bad. As far as games that people are calling for sequels that I don't think need to be made, it's not in a traditional sense an RPG, but Warcraft. There's so many people who have been crying for a Warcraft 4, and that kind of already exists, and it's called World of Warcraft. There's no reason... I get people wanting the RTS experience again.
Yeah,
I get
that's the only part for me, because I don't care about other people.
Warcraft is a terrible game, so they shouldn't make a Warcraft 4. That's my opinion.
I don't like RTSs. I love RTSs. Warcraft. Huh?
Oh, and I love RTSs. Warcraft 3 just sucks ass.
Okay, cool.
But yeah.
I played Warcraft for the story and had to cheat my way through it. I just don't really care about there being a Warcraft 4. If you want more Warcraft story, play World of Warcraft.
You know what? Metroid Prime 4.
But you don't want to exist?
I don't give a shit. Metroid's awesome, but why should it matter? I don't care.
Yeah. Just a new
Even Metroid Prime 1 was unnecessary. The whole point of Metroid is that it's a story with 4 games in it. Every game made that isn't Metroid 1, 2, 3, or Fusion is self-consciously unnecessary. The whole Metroid Prime series is like, in between Metroid 1 and Metroid 2, Samus just went on some other adventures that don't matter.
Yeah.
That's the entire premise of those games' plots, and I love those games.
Yeah. But I think we're pushing time.
We are.
Maddie is doing her reverse magical girl transformation right now. So real quick, we in case you haven't heard so far, we are playing a Final Fantasy X next, and we'll be starting that next week. I'll probably get to play some of it tomorrow, and I'll be so excited. But other than that, we are done for the week. So if you like what we do here, let us know. You can reach us at rpgbookclub@gmail.com, on Twitter at rpgbookclub, or in our Discord, whose link is in the description. If you're watching us on Twitch right now, all of these links are over on the side in the doobly-doo.
Do it.
But then if you really like what we do here, you can help us pay for it all by donating to our Patreon at patreon.com/rpgbookclub, or by getting some of our merch from our store at shop.spreadshirt.com/rpgbookclub. And next week we will probably not be on Twitch. We will probably be back to normal on just your audio podcatcher. But we will start our playthrough of Final Fantasy X. Maddie, did you verify that getting on the boat to Lilica was our stopping point?
Yeah.
Okay, so we will stop either before or right after getting on the boat to head toward Lilica.
Oh yeah, I should have checked if there's like a save point. I think before is, I think there's a save point like on the screen where the boat is in the screen.
Okay,
I think
we won't talk about being on the boat. So if you save on the boat or before the bout is fine, but we will not talk about.
Why are you on my Twitch account?
That's funny.
I don't know why the hell he's on mine. Anyway,
it's okay. I'm on. I keep answering as Sam as RPG Book Club, so it's fine. But for RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
I've been Elias Sailor Eli Warren,
and I'm Maddie.
All right, adios.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.